Well, it's a Friday and we're swinging open the gateway to your weekend here on Kelly and Company. On today's show, another Earth Day has passed this April 22nd. Michael Feir today on the show is going to review the Threshold podcast, which has won awards for its coverage of our changing environment. I have to say, wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. You know it's coming. You're on the threshold of another great show. So, yes, stay tuned.
This is Kelly and Company.
Kelly MacDonald here. We appreciate your time, folks. Remember, you can email us at kellyco@ami.ca. You can also give us a call at 1-866-509-4545. Nisreen Abdul-Majid joining me on our Friday. And Nisreen, as we swing open the gateway to the weekend, are you all set for your weekend?
I am. I have a party to DJ tomorrow. I'm hyped and it's going to be fun. So busy, busy, busy.
So I know you've been DJing for so long. Does it bother you to split weekends like that? I mean, you enjoy what you do, which is cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Like they say, don't bother doing something. And I used to get this with, play rehearsals and stuff like that. As we got closer to a show run, oh my gosh, you suck up your whole weekend, you work, and then that's terrible. I wouldn't like that. But when you really enjoy your hobby, it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, honestly, in the moment you think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have booked so many for the summer because I really want to go out and have fun with my family and my husband and everything like that. But on the weekend, it's taken. I'm still working on the weekend, so I do have regrets for booking so many. But at the same time, it's amazing. I'm grateful for what I do, and it keeps me busy for sure.
So when you get to do a public event, not somebody's wedding you've been hired for or something like that, does family and friends show up, or is it kind of old hat for them?
People still get tickets, for public events. So there's sometimes where
but I mean people do your family and friends, any of them show up? Hey, man.
I promote the party when it's like a public event and people do show up on my end, and I feel like it's more hyped for me because they hype me up. Yep. Versus when it's like a private event, I'm like, okay, nobody knows me personally, so they're not gonna keep hyping me up.
Yeah,
it's a
tough.
different vibe.
Yeah, people used to say that about plays. It was a harder audience when you knew some of the audience, whether it was two people or half of the audience. And friends say, "Hey, man, we're coming out Friday to see the show." Great.
It is easier when you know people. Yeah, it's a whole different vibe when you know people.
Sometimes it's hard on people, depending who the people are too. If they're other DJs, maybe not. When we'd find that other actors or people like that, because they're sitting there in judgment, regardless. Even if they no, we're here to enjoy the show. No, you're judging something. But if it's just those friends or family that are always pumping your tires, telling you, "Oh yeah, she's great at what you do," yeah, that's okay. But I still think it's a bit more of a stressful thing until you're so used to it, and all that comes with a confidence that is part of being a performer of some sort.
Exactly. It was so funny. One time I was at a party and my sister joined, and one of the hosts of the party was just being so dry and rude every time she came up to me, and I would give my sister the look like I'm annoyed. So she stood beside me and she became like my bodyguard. Like every time she says something, she'll defend me with whatever. So
the host
love
was
that. And that
critiquing
kind of
you, or do you think they were like, "Well, we're paying you to do this. What the heck?"
No, it's like, when somebody requests a song, but they're just rude about it, and they're like, no, skip the song. Like, I don't like it.
Oh God.
And it's hard to please people sometimes, but when like when you have family beside you and they're still hyping you up, and they just take so much stress off your plate. Yeah,
I remember DJing a family function. It was my sister's wedding reception, and my family were the worst nuisances in the world. My good heavens! I mean, generally they are, but
you hated
they really
working
were.
with your family.
Oh, I told them, go away. Don't tell me what to do. I do have some confidence. I do. And then, of course, you do the old standard. Well, you want to do this? You go ahead. Yeah. Folks, Crip Trip, AMI's new docuseries. This is a road trip docuseries. It takes viewers on a journey of hilarity, friendship, and hope, while shedding light on glaring holes in support systems this for members of the disabilities community across Canada. Crip Trip stars Daniel Edit, a filmmaker who is a quadruple amputee, and Frederick Croach, Daniel's best friend and new caregiver. They both join us now to tell us exactly the show captures. Guys, appreciate you being with us on the show today, especially starting out your day so early with us. Thanks a lot to both of you, but I want to start, and I'd love to hear from both of you on it and just weigh in the way that you want to with this. Essentially, you head out on a road trip from Edmonton to New York City in a 1983 RV. This thing, of course, is really set up all ready for your needs, all pimped out and ready to go. First of all, why the trip?
Well, it kind of started back in 2020 when I graduated university and I had to switch from familial care to government care. And I was inundated with just how capricious the bureaucracy is. I went to the government, I got evaluated, and they were like, you only need 6.6 hours of care a day to function. And I was frankly astounded at the audacity, honestly. But yeah, I came up with the idea of wanting to do a project about care work. And then I started working very closely with Fred, and we decided on making a road trip doc so that we could show the trials, tribulations, the horror, and the camaraderie that is involved in really intense care work. And we landed on this beautiful idea we called Crip Trip.
Fred, anything
Crazy
to add?
Ride.
I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, I wanted to go on a road trip with Danny, so why not turn it into a TV show?
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys, I gotta say, with your knowledge, and when you look at the credits, and you guys are all over the credits, directing, producing this thing, I find it pretty amazing for you to then get in there, be in it. I mean, there's always acting involved, no matter how much we want to say, hey, that's a docuseries. You guys know where you want to go, what you want to say, what you want covered. Fred, how hard is it to do that, directing, producing the whole thing? And you guys have some wonderful supports, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is the only thing we're good at. I find most of life quite hard.
Yeah, we're broadcast people. We say the same thing.
Yeah, but making TV is what we do. So,
yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of, unexpected challenges that came up on the road, like a broken RV and time constraints, budgetary constraints, gear breaking down. Oftentimes I became either a petulant child or B, an insolent jerk. I was probably my own worst enemy a lot of the time. But other than those sort of things, the actual craft of making this and the technical side, we really just enjoy doing that, and we hope to keep doing this for the rest of our lives.
Yeah,
How
and we had
long
an
have you guys
amazing
known
follow
each other?
crew too.
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying we had an amazing follow crew too. So we had a lot of people watching our
That
backs
always
on the road
helps.
too. As for how long we've known each other for about 10 years now. Fred, I think, is the number we landed on. We started producing shows together when Fred had left CTV, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been working together. Like, basically, I left CTV back in 2013 to make a show with you, and we've been working together ever since. And it's been an interesting journey because before COVID, we were pitching travel shows with Danny, and I pitched a major travel channel in North America, and they were like, great idea, super cool, but nobody wants to see Danny on TV. It just makes people feel sorry for him. And we were like, oh, that's horrible. But we didn't stop. We kept trying, and now we're in what we sometimes call a disability renaissance in television.
Yes.
And now it's like people want to see this. It's been 180. And it's really awesome for us because now all these opportunities are sort of coming up. We both worked on Push as directors, and that show was kind of groundbreaking for television. And AMI has obviously been making content for many years. And now it's starting to leak out into the greater public. And it's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the wonderful thing are the relationships that the production companies have with AMI that started out to be something they found out about, worked with CBC and everybody else, and started to realize, hey, man, this is becoming really interesting. People are wanting to know this. They're curious, and there's so much we can show here. Do we want to talk just a little bit about that crew? You guys are moving along in an RV. You have to make the decisions of what you want to show, keep it moving, but as experts in the field, man, I think that's going to really be a positive. Your skill, your years of experience when it comes to this, working with this crew, directing what you'd like to show, what you don't need to show. But you guys know that. How are those decisions made? Daniel, can you talk a little bit about that?
I would say that a lot of the pacing and who we're going to meet is handled in kind of pre-production, and we did that so that when we were knee deep in it on the road, that we wouldn't be worrying about lining up potential participants and stuff like that. So while we were on the road, we had Dylan, our showrunner, very much kind of directing us in the scene, because when Fred and I are burnt out after the fourth breakdown on an 18-hour day, someone needs to be paying attention to the story beats that we're trying to get. And when everyone's burnt out, it gets more and more challenging. So the benefits of having such a big crew was, we all had mental breakdowns at different points, so that we were all mostly functioning most of the time.
Most of the time. At the very beginning, do you guys feel like the trip was a good idea? What were you excited about? What were you guys worried about?
I'll let you take it first, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, we were worried. I was worried about the RV because it was so old. And sure enough, within the first hour and a half, it broke down. And I was ready to end the trip right there. So the RV was a constant source of stress for us, as well as, will we get to different cities on time to pitch shows or do an art show or meet up with people, with so many breakdowns and with the, accessibility challenges, it was hard to get to places on time. Maybe we should have, I wish we had more time on the trip, that we were always battling time. And that was a very sort of stressful part of it. And with a show and with all these, with a big crew, you're limited by how much. You can't just say, let's take another month. You just can't do that. So those were some of the big stressful challenges. And looming over the whole thing is this existential threat of Danny being forced into an institution. And, so anything we're doing is trying to raise awareness and somehow figure out how to make sure that Danny doesn't wind up there. And that's sort of a driving stressful thing that is even more stressful now as so yeah, there's a lot of stressful things around this for sure.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Fred and I's relationship over the course of the documentary is it gives people a view in just how much care work is actually, right? And we really wanted to facilitate audiences being able to see just how strenuous care work is, so that it's more respected as labor, right? One of the big issues that I hear when I'm talking to government officials or nurses, doctors, OTs, is that they really think that it's easy enough for a person like my mother, who's infirm, elderly, had a double hip replacement, is struggling with chronic pain. That's the kind of person that they're like, oh no, you could just do the rest of the 16 hours of care that Daniel needs in a day, right? So in Fred showing and breaking down so early in the show, it really shows just how tough care work is. And yeah, you see a lot of growth from Fred and our relationship, and as we fight and overcome, decrepit RVs, haunted asylums, and many other things.
Yeah. You start to think those 6 episodes are very, very intense, right? It's
Yeah.
a short time. There's a lot going on. As you guys said, you went through some challenges, unexpected challenges, but you made it through. And as you said, most of the time you were functioning. But how were they? How intense were they to film in general?
I mean, it just kept ramping up. You're constantly trying to meet the next participant at the next location. The RV is constantly breaking down. Uh, we were trying to do analog photography on the road trip, so the RV was also converted into a like mobile analog film development studio. So we had tons of time pressure that was purely self-inflicted,
Mm.
and you know every destination we were always worrying about something. Yeah, so it just
Wow.
keeps ramping up all the way through to New York.
And I think what's really cool is you get to learn about your work, the field you guys are in, and see this created through that eye. I mean, I'm sure before you started, you had a tone that you wanted to carry through the show, you know, that theme slash tone of it. As things went on, it changed. When you look back at the 6 episodes now, fellas, how much has it changed? Or do you feel you got to where, without giving things away, where you wanted in the tone, at least for the series? Fred?
The intention was always from the very beginning to present this as something that is not inspirational, that is not like a lot of disability content that has come out before this. We wanted to be unapologetic punk rock, and we wanted to show disabled people drinking and angry and, just like give a voice to people's anger and not try to be careful about any of this and just let it be what it is. And I think looking at it now, we totally achieved that. I would even go so far as to say I think we did better than we even anticipated, Danny. Like, it's
Yeah,
pretty remarkable that AMI let us make this show.
Yeah.
It's not a safe show in the sense of, there's swearing in it. It's very real and it's very punk rock. And I'm curious what the public is going to think about it. I'm a little scared.
Yeah. How do you expect people will respond to watching the show? I was gonna ask that.
well, I think it'll be yeah, it'll be a wide dearth of interpretations. I think able-bodied people will have much different takeaways than disabled people watching the show,
Mhm.
right? I think able-bodied people like to gravitate a little bit more toward the care work aspects, and then disabled people get me meeting with community and hearing just how universal our problems are, right?
Mhm.
It didn't matter who I was talking to, whether they were in the US or Canada, right? We're all interacting with very similar systems. They just tend to get more draconian the further south you get.
Yeah, and you know that from life experience, and that's what we've always said. We want the true story. We want the feel. We don't want to censor people. We want that speaking up, just saying. And yeah, we've heard it. We know other people, and we know it's not all going to be solved in a week, a year, day. There's so many things we've complained about since the 80s. People are still complaining about the unjust way the system works. Guys, really good luck with this. I'm excited for the responses you get, but I really appreciate the skill for directing and producing that, to me, really pours out in this show. Thank you so much for that, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crip Trip is AMI's new Crip Trip is AMI's new docuseries, shedding light on the glaring holes in the support systems for members in the disability community. The show stars Daniel Edit and Frederick Croach, who joined us for a little chat about it. And gosh, there's so much more I would have liked to chat about. Crip Trip debuts today, April 25th on AMI TV. It's on at 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, you can stream it anytime on the AMI app. So much Niz to get into with the guys. And boy, they're so comfortable to talk to about it. And they should be
Aren't
proud.
they amazing? Yeah, they look like a fun couple of people that I want to chill with, you know, have a drink with, and it's that type of vibe. I love that, and
But you can feel
we're
the
gonna
stress,
get
though.
another chance to talk with them for sure.
Yeah, yeah, you can feel the stress, right? Like
Yeah.
when you watch the show, I watched the first episode, and even just talking to them, you know, they're very unapologetic about how stressful stuff was. So really amazing. Check it out.
You think about how like at the end of the day, it's only 6 episodes, so it can become really stressful just to like squeeze everything in that short amount of time. So yeah, but
and it moves
great
pretty
work.
moves fast.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the discussion the guys had about Daniel's mom, and that's reflected in the first episode. Remember to check out our podcast from your platform of choice. Ladies and gentlemen, give us a rating and review. Also subscribe, please, to our YouTube page.
The Threshold podcast has fascinated listeners and won awards for its coverage of our changing environment. In honor of Earth Day, Michael Feir is here to tell us all about it. Michael, what kinds of subjects does this podcast cover?
So this has a really broad scope. It's all environment. Everything is about, in some way, the environment and how climate change, how we're, letting the world is changing, and we got to pay attention. So they cover either a species, place, idea, controversial kind of notion in environmental circles, or related. Everything has to be related to the environment. So it's a very broad brief. And each season will focus typically on an overarching thing. They had one season about what's so important about 1.5 degrees. Like, why is it? Why do we care if we go past that in terms of warming? They have an season about cold, the Arctic, what's going on up there and conditions. They have a whole season looking at that. The current season looks at sound in the environment and how that is important and how it can be used to sort of study and tell things about what's going on. Some pretty impressive stuff there. So these guys have been at it they've done 5 seasons, and we're in the middle of season 5. I don't think it's quite complete yet. There's still more episodes, at least to be released. I imagine it's all recorded by now. But they've really done. They've been doing this since 2016, and despite all the stuff going on in the U.S. to combat awareness of climate change, they've really survived and thrived.
So how does the feel of the series go when it comes to that kind of thing? Because as you say, 5 seasons, there's always been the up and down. Do people believe in climate change and that? Do they get into the political aspects, or are they really just being as... These are the facts of what's going on. This is a concern, and really catching you with the different angles where you say, oh gosh, the North, I never thought of that, or oh my gosh, I'm not aware that's happening. Because especially the North, we think of, oh my goodness, it's melting.
They really do both. They do get into they interview experts and things, and people who are involved in studying this stuff. So you really get there, like what they go through in gathering the information, what it takes to do that research, and then what their response to it. Like how do they feel with this work that they're doing? Like what does it leave them with? And that sort of thing. So you sort of get both. It's kind of, it goes beyond people. Like you do whole episodes on animals, and you don't hear much from people so much. But then you'll swing into the controversies, the science, what's going on, right? Yeah. And so you get both. You really get a full, comprehensive. This is where we are in this world. And it shouldn't be all about us, right? You get a sense of that, but you also get this, this is what the people who are trying to study this stuff and help the rest of the world, this is what it looks like. So, yeah, it's...
Well, yeah. What can we expect in the 5th season?
So the 5th season is called Hark. This is the current season, and I've listened to about 4 or 5 episodes of this now, and they're looking at sound, and they're looking at how has life evolved to use sound, and they're going in what they believe is the order of evolution, that things, animals, creatures started hearing sounds. So that starts with the bacteria, that starts with like living insects were kind of one of the first, and you look at kind of what that was like the noises that they make, things like, and what the importance of those noises are. You kind of get a real sense of that. Fish and coral. Turtles make more noise than I ever would have thought. So they look at all these different things, and they have a whole episode on what sound is and what we hear. Like if a bird sings, that goes from the bird's, throat to our ear, and what that, how we interpret it, what it might mean, kind of thing. So they dig deep into sound. They had a couple of really neat things. Fish. They had one episode all about fish that are much more noisy than I ever would have thought. You hear, because they use their wind bladders. These things, they help fish or keep altitude, adjust their altitude
That's
underwater.
so crazy.
They're stabilizers.
I would never expect that. Yeah,
and you hear these weird, like great groans and almost weird, strange noises that you never would have expected from fish, of all things. They did things like they lowered a ice microphone under an ice hole in Sweden, and it was like a 2-foot ice sheet on top of the lake, right? So they lowered this microphone down, and despite that thickness of ice, you still heard them walk away. The dog, she had a dog with her, Erica, the journalist, and they walked away, and you heard the dog's paws on the ice, and it penetrated way down into the water. So it's amazing that things you wouldn't think would even register, how clearly they got recorded.
Are all the seasons, Mike, like that? Like, I know this is a special season for sound, but as a podcast, as a blind person, loving our sound, of course, would you say the same detail to the sound quality, the sounds that we're able to hear to place us there, as all the seasons reflected the same way? I mean, where it's necessary.
Yeah, you do get the really good background. Any kind of environment they go through, including things like airports, anything like that, as they go and come and travel around with researchers on research vessels and things, you hear all of it. Like, you really get a sense of activity, of life going on. It's not like everything stops while they're there so they can record a perfectly pristine interview, right? Like, you get a sense of the environments these people work in, of the processes of stuff going on. So that was really neat to hear. The production values are sky high with this, in terms of any recording done is really well done.
I love when people use on location and their value to that, where they actually record these sounds in nature versus grabbing a sample from here and here. It really makes a difference in the production.
And the intentionality of it too. Like, you hear a coral reef, for example, in this current season, when they show what is we just had a big bleaching event where a lot of the world's coral has gotten, and when that bleaching is destroying life, like it totally wrecks the ecology around coral reefs. And you hear a healthy coral reef, they give you a sound of that, and you hear all the activity, all the snaps and pops and crackles and all kinds of sound. And then you hear a reef devastated by this bleaching, and it's dead. You hear the difference, and they make sure to point these things out. So you really get a sense of, this is nature thriving. This is when it's really out of whack, and what that sounds like.
I truly respect when that's being done. Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. What a find for Earth Day. This podcast is not cheap to produce, and they've done amazing work.
Awesome. So you can learn more about the Threshold podcast by visiting thresholdpodcast.org. The podcast is freely available, and you can find it using your preferred podcast app or smart speaker. Michael Feir appears regularly on Kelly and Company to discuss audio entertainment.
And the show is very much listener supported, of course, quite costly. So get on board with it in any way you can. On our next show, when Nisreen and I return, April is Autism Awareness Month, and we're joined by registered dietitian Jackie Silver, founder of Accessible Wellness for All, to explore how food sensitivities affect people with autism. From food aversions to sensory challenges, Jackie shares how her neuroaffirming, weight-inclusive approach helps neurodivergent individuals and families navigating eating in a way that feels safe, supportive, and approachable. We'll do that conversation for you as part of our show on Monday. We're waving at you. Now get out of here, will ya?
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.